Good afternoon, y'all, and welcome to Practicing Wellness with Danielle Fanfare. I am so excited to always be able to join you guys and to see that there is an interest in ways to practice our wellness. We know that wellness is not a destination, wellness is not an accomplishment or an achievement. Wellness is a journey, you know. And for those of y'all who don't know me, I am the executive director of the Heinz Center for Spirituality. And the Heinz Center for Spirituality exists in downtown Houston to serve the mental, emotional, physical expansion that becomes spiritual awakening. You know, we often seek spiritual resources when we need guidance. We often seek our spiritual sources when we are in pain, when we're feeling like we need more love. And the Heinz Center exists to be a place where we can cultivate peace of mind and positive emotional connections and balance and feeling better in our bodies through physical wellness and mindful movement. Usually when we start feeling better in those three areas of our intelligence, in our heads and in our hearts and in our guts, we become aware and we become available to the spiritual growth that is an inevitable part of being enlightened and expanding in those areas. And that's what we really want to cultivate for you at the Heinz Center, is the ability to grow mentally, grow emotionally, grow and heal physically, so that we can become more responsive to those bigger life questions around purpose, around our passions, around our destinies, around finding ways to sense make in times like this where things are beyond our control and we need the higher intelligence. We need to connect with a source of wisdom, a source of love, and a source of compassion that is both inside of us and outside of us, beyond us. So we can create environments that, cultivate that peace that's beyond our understanding. And so that's what the Heinz Center exists for. And I decided to teach at least once a week on both Facebook and Instagram because I did not want there to be any barrier. Well, I guess there's an electronic barrier, but I didn't want there to be any kind of pay barrier or a destination barrier to being able to gain access to tools and practices that would provide some comfort during this time, that would provide some new knowledge and new understanding during this time, and that would provide a sense of, growing mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually during this time. Dr. Beatrice Craven gave me this acronym, the PIES check-in, that I love. And it's a way to check in with yourself physically, but that's the P. Intellectually, that's the I. Emotionally, that's the E. And then spiritually. And so I told her I wanted to change the Heinz Center's name to the Heinz Center for PIES, but I think that would be confusing. So while we don't sell pies, we are a sweet place to check in with your pies, with your person, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. We're going to do that today. I want to talk about stress today because, listen, everybody's grown. You can do what you want to do. All right. I'm not here to try and create any platform that, controls anybody's behavior. However, as a person who is studying our current global pandemic, it is perplexing to drive down streets and to see people putting their health at risk. I drove down a street on Saturday from picking up some groceries that I had ordered and using the curbside feature. And I just saw probably hundreds of people at a bar and they were sharing a hookah pipe. And they were not socially distant. I did not see any masks, not even the fancy, I've seen all the masks, Louis Vuitton mask, African print masks, Astros masks, American flag masks, Pokemon masks. I've seen them all. However, I did not see not one of those masks. And I will admit at first I was critical. I was like, what are they doing? But then I just became very concerned that people were not equipped with the information that they needed to really preserve and protect their health. And then I became very stressed because of my knowledge of how interconnected we all are. All of our decisions and all of our choices and actions are as connected as, the wind that blows from one, home to another. And so I had to use my tools. You know what I'm saying? I was starting to feel anxious. And so I had to really activate practices. One of those practices is to exercise. So as you guys can see, I'm dressed and ready to go for a run as soon as, we're finished here, because that is one of my ways to connect with ways to release stress and to connect with myself. And so I one of my responses was to recommit to my own personal health, just to kind of feel like I had some control, because I wanted to just go out there and say, go home, everybody go home. And so I want to talk to y'all today about the inevitable stresses that we're always experiencing. There are going to be things every day that we're going to experience that are triggering, that are frustrating, that are irritating, that cause anger, that cause all kinds of emotions, and for us to really understand what's behind those emotions and deal with that, and so behind my anger was sadness and concern, right? Beyond my anger was, a deep sense of urgency for public health. Beyond my anger was just this knowledge that somebody was going to go home sick, or somebody was going to take something home and make somebody else sick who's going to suffer, who didn't have to, right? And so I want to just talk a little bit about the spirituality of stress relief and the role that stress plays in our spiritual expansion. Because if it was up to me, of course, we would never go through any stress. And while that sounds good, it would actually be boring, because no good movie, no good book, no good songs started off. Could y'all imagine a song? Nothing happened today. Everything was okay. I had all of the money. I had a perfect body. I had everything. And that's the end of the song. Like, I'm not inspired by that song. There's no transformation. There's nothing I am connecting to on a consistent basis. In that song about that person's perfect life. However, some of the songs and some of the movies and some of the artwork that we connect most deeply to are representative and reflective of the artist's journey through a stressful situation and journey through it and out of it, right? So I just want to talk to you about the role of stress in spiritual expansion, so that we don't avoid and deny and ignore stress. We also don't cultivate it. You know what I'm saying? We don't say, okay, everybody bring all the stress so I can just grow. And we don't say that either. However, when we are experiencing frustration, irritation, anger, sadness, these emotions that are triggered by stressful events in our lives, there's a way that we can reframe how we experience those things that can set us up for spiritual success. And by spiritual success, I mean can set us up with a deeper knowing of our value and a mastery of the gifts that we have been given, so that we can have a more fulfilling and joyful life experience as a result of that stressful experience. So one thing I love about artwork is its ability to embody our experiences, and so we can always use art as a metaphor. And so I was thinking about this this term, the crescendo, and I can't sing. I mean, like professionally, right? So forgive the lack of professional quality of any songs or any things that I'm about to share. But have you ever heard a song that has a crescendo in it? A crescendo is defined as a linear change in tone and volume that increases as the moment in the song goes on. So, like going up, a crescendo is the sound of in opera, in gospel music, in any in symphonies. There are moments where the volume and the intensity of that part of the song just increases and expands, right? And if the whole song was a crescendo, it would be pretty whack. Like if you just listen to a song and the whole song is just going up the whole time, it's just from the beginning, when you hit play to the time you hit end, it's just one crescendo, right? So then there is what's called a pause. And a lot of musicians, if you guys are on, you will know that there is just as much sweetness and just as much musicality in the pause as there are in the actual notes that are being expressed either vocally or through instrumentation. And then there's also something called the diminuendo. And the diminuendo, if the crescendo is a linear increase in tone and intensity and volume, the diminuendo is a linear decrease in tone and intensity and volume. And so you got your crescendos, you got your pauses, and you got your diminuendos. Now I'm not a music theorist, so I'm not going to get into all of the different forms of transitions in music. But those are three specific ways that we understand how songs transition. And if a song was full of pauses, it wouldn't be a song. It would just be silence, right? If a song was the complete song was a diminuendo, it would just be one linear decline in volume and intensity from start to end. And so that wouldn't be very resonating or entertaining either. However, if a song was filled with varying notes, varying moments of crescendo, pause, and diminuendo, well, now that's a song. That's an experience. That's a beautiful way that art reflects the change and the nature of our experience as humans moving through life. I love when songs have different changes. We love when songs do something called modulate, which is a key change where it goes from one key to another key and it goes higher and higher. Think about Beyonce's Love on Top. You know, every time she says, finally, put my love on top, baby. You're the one that I love. Like she goes higher and higher. If you've never heard Love on Top, I guarantee you might enjoy it. Go to Spotify and stream Love on Top. Just for the experience that the song is. I mean, she goes higher and higher and higher. And I'm not sure if she ever stops the song or if somebody just like yanks the mic out of the recording device, right? Because it seems like she can just keep going higher and higher. But the transitions in music is what makes music such an interesting, resonant, and entertaining experience, right? What does it have to do with spirituality? Well, think about stress in the terms of a crescendo, a pause, and a diminuendo. A life without stress is a life pretty much that is, maybe a diminuendo, a declining in intensity, going from one high note or high tone to continuing to get quiet. And I mean, while that may sound, I guess, relaxing, it will get boring over time. And so when we see opportunities to grow, we don't typically associate the stressful moments in life as opportunities to grow. I don't know what you guys tend to think about when you envision an opportunity to grow. Oftentimes the experiences that lead to our deepest understanding, the experiences that lead to the wisdom that we impart to other people are what we learned after really stressful situations have resolved. I think that the stress that we are currently under with this global pandemic is yielding a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, understanding, and awareness for a lot of people. And it can continue to do so if we allow it. If we allow our life situations to move like a song, if we allow the crescendo to happen, We allow things to grow and intensify. And we see that linear building up of volume and intensity and tone, and we see it going higher and higher, right? And we cultivate the pause. And we cultivate the crescendo and the diminuendo. Sorry, not the crescendo. And we cultivate the diminuendo, which is the decline of intensity and volume. I believe that the dynamic movement of our lives, the dynamic experiences that we have, will move in our memories more like a song. And just like a song has many movements, and those are the masterpieces that we study and share and come back to over and over again, that have that same chemical reaction in our minds, the memories of these stressful moments. When we help to cultivate our own experience, we can go back to those memories and have similar responses, similar reactions, and similar responses. We can remember this time as being, yes, very stressful. We can remember this time as creating a lot of frustration and concern. And then we can also say, and this is what was birthed out of it for me. This is how I grew. This is how I developed. This is what I learned about myself. This is how I stumbled upon what I'm doing now that's so fulfilling and so satisfying to me. This is how I woke up during that time. And so I want to encourage you all to just take some deep breaths with me. I've taught this before, but I feel like it's a great time and a great day to learn this again. It's called the Quick Coherence Technique. It was created by the HeartMath Institute, and it's a technique that allows us to become unified in all of our intelligence. It's a technique that allows us to get in touch with our heads, our hearts, and our guts, and to be able to grow what's called appreciation. And this appreciative state creates what's called global optimization. And global optimization is a medical term that refers to our bodies being fully oxygenated and at our optimal state for cognition, function, and response. Okay? And I'll explain why that is after we experience the technique together. So everybody come to a comfortable seat. Take a deep breath, sigh it out. Take a deep breath, sigh it out. Take one more deep breath, sigh it out. Now, as you continue to shift and do what you need to do to get comfortable, I invite you to start breathing in through the nose. This time, breathe out through your nose. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Breathe out through the nose. It should sound to you almost like the waves of an ocean coming in and out of the shore. And to breathe out of your nose, I want you to pretend that you have a mirror beneath your nose, and you're fogging up that mirror with your exhale. It's going to cause you to push that air out through your nose a little stronger. Breathe in. Push it out. Fog up that mirror. Now close your eyes and place your hand on your heart. You can get some skin, get some skin. And as you continue to breathe, I want you to imagine that air going in and out of your heart. Imagine that your heart is expanding and contracting and pushing that good oxygen all over your body. Imagine that your generous sips of breath are now being sent to every single organ, every single system you have. Now, as you breathe in through the nose and breathe back out through the nose, I want you to remember the last time that you felt true appreciation. And if you're having a hard time pulling that memory, I want you to remember the last time that you know you were making a contribution. Continuing to breathe. And I want you to revisit every single detail of that memory. Really go back there. Really remember the way the light hit in the room. What room were you in? What building were you in? Who was there? Who was with you? What were the many little steps of the situation that led to this feeling of contribution or appreciation? Really remember and really allow yourself to fully relive that memory. Taking those deep breaths. Savor the gladness of the situation. Savor the gratitude. You can savor the moments that led to the contribution that you know you were making. What were the details? What were the moments? Continuing to breathe. Continuing to relive those moments of gratitude, those moments of gladness, that appreciation. Relive your contribution. Sending that air all over your body, sending that good oxygen. And when you're ready, you can return to your normal breathing. And just notice how you feel. Just notice how you feel. You can hear my coworker in the background. I want you to really take note of the subtle changes that have happened in your body, even in the last couple of minutes of experiencing that exercise. It's called the quick coherence technique because it refers to this state of coherence, which means being logical and consistent. When we allow ourselves to fully take in those deep breaths, we use our brains to envision those breaths going all over our bodies. And we use our minds to remember those moments of appreciation or contribution. What happens is we're actually sending through our vagus nerve an impulse through every single system that we have. It's called parasympathetic innervation. And it's to innervate means to supply nerves to. And when we breathe and we activate that vagus nerve, it sits right here. So when you send that air out of your nose, you gently pressed on your vagus nerve and it began to send impulses throughout your parasympathetic nervous system. That is the system that our bodies use to regulate ourselves. And when we send nerves through deep breathing, we tell ourselves to rest and digest. When we tell our bodies through our breathing to rest and digest, we tell our bodies that we're okay. When we do that deep breathing, we fully oxygenate our bodies and we set our heart, our bloodstream, and all of our organs up for optimal functioning. We bring ourselves into a state of coherence and we're able to not just understand, but then control our responses and make the best decision possible. So when we put ourselves in this place of coherence and appreciation, that word appreciation means to like grow the value of like a car or like property. We actually appreciate our inner environment and then our response appreciates our external environment. We become familiar with the most intelligent way to respond. And then we see the positive results of our response, even when we're frustrated and triggered and angry and concerned and stressed out. And that leads to a more grounded response. We ground and we create rest and digest energy for the people around us. And over time, that leads to a life that is more grounded and more responsible because of our ability to respond. Don't you want that? The only way to achieve that is by using our tools during stressful situations like this. It's the only way to do it. We can't do it by having everything at our fingertips. We can't do it by having uneventful lives. We can't do it by getting everything we want. However, we can access that grounding presence of the divine, however we acknowledge it. When we experience the crescendo of a stressful experience, we create the pause, and then we watch those emotions and those adrenaline and cortisol neurochemicals, we watch those diminish, and we create our own diminuendo. And then we have a dynamic, beautiful masterpiece of a life to reflect on. And it's as close to us, the opportunities to create those experiences are as close to us as our next breath. And so I encourage you, as you continue to make decisions and as you continue to watch other people make decisions, whatever your decision-making process is, as you are confronted with environments and people and conversations and sights and sounds that lead you to stress, just know that that is a crescendo moment that can create a pause, that can lead to a diminuendo, that can become dynamic, moving masterpieces in your life. And if you experience something positive during this teaching, and if you like what you've heard, I actually am teaching a longer course called The Spirituality of Wellness, where we move through things like stress relief and enjoyment and alignment and communication, but we explore the spiritual stuff of all of these common things that we all do and have access to together. And so go to theheinzcenter.org to check out the workshops, the classes, the courses, and the events. I want to invite you this Wednesday, tomorrow. We're talking to Dr. Ann Friedman, who is a mindfulness master. She's a psychologist. She has gotten her law degree, and she's actually a trained mindfulness practitioner. And she's going to help us to maintain practices of mindfulness as we move through this new reality that we all live in. Immediately following that, we're going to be joined by Thanet, who is a master of the ceramic singing bowls, and he's also a monk. And he's going to lead us in some singing bowl sound therapy at 6:30. Our goal is for us to experience things together which help us to expand and grow for the purpose of modifying our behavior to expand wisdom and love and compassion in our lives. So I encourage you to join us. I encourage you to check in. I encourage you to do your own pause check-in like Dr. Craven taught us, checking in physically with that P, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. And the Heinz Center is your home for doing that. So thanks for joining me. I hope you join us tomorrow, and I hope you log on to our Heinz Center Spirituality of Wellness course as well. And I'm breathing with you guys. So as you continue to navigate what life looks like for you and your family and the people that you love, I want to encourage you to know that the wisdom that you need, the answer that you need, the solution that you need is as close to you as your next deep breath. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.